Evening, everyone. I'm super excited about tonight's call. We'll be starting this in just a few minutes. We have quite a few people jumping on right now, and we have some special guests for you all. I'm excited about tonight's call because tonight is the kickoff of our, let's call it anti-resolutions. And what does that mean? Is that what we know is that New Year's resolutions notoriously don't work. People ultimately end up failing or quitting their resolutions. And so there is a solution. If you have goals or if you have something you want to achieve or you want to improve yourself in some way, there is a foundation to what helps you become successful. And what we want to do is focus on that. And all those take progress and continuous effort moving in the right direction. So we were going to give you these three keys. It's going to be super important to do that. So I'd like to introduce myself. My name is Dustin Schaefer. I've been actually a human performance, health and performance coach for nearly 30 years, for 3 decades. Which is kind of cool. I've gotten to work with some very unique people. Myself, I was a former athlete, former Marine. I was able to push my body to the high levels of to the point where I injured myself and I got diagnosed with an autoimmune condition. Through all that journey, though, through my life's challenges and as a human performance coach, I got to learn how to help people and live their best lives. So I've worked with world-class athletes, Olympic athletes, and a lot of people dealing with day-to-day lives, from autoimmune conditions to weight obstacles to loss of limbs to paralyzed people in wheelchairs, and everything in between. And so my goal is always to help people live their best life and help them with the things that are going to work. And so here at Prove It, our goal is to help you become the best version of yourself, to truly inspire you to do that so that you can be the role model for for the people that you love and care about. And so that's what tonight's outcome is how do you become the best version of yourself? How do you achieve your goals? How do you find your resolution and actually achieve it? When you look back at 2026 at the end of the year, so 1 year from today, when you look back we want you to go, I was able to accomplish my goal. I'm no longer that person. I am this person today. And tonight's call is going to teach you everything you really need to know to be successful in that. And so I'm super excited to have our guest on. I'm super excited for you to hear the stories that are going to come along with this. And so I'm going to just do a little pre-frame of the call. So we're going to have three stories on, and all these stories are going to be remarkable. They're going to be amazing. They're going to be like, oh my goodness, you're going to say, I wish I was them. I wish that happened. But in each one of these stories, there's a recipe for success. And we're going to break down the recipe with two world-renowned doctors. We have Dr. Andrea Capitelli. We also have Dr. Ryan Lowry that are going to be joining us. I think Dr. Andy, I saw just popped on. And so we're going to break down why it works, what did they do, and why it was so successful. But we're also going to get down into what isn't working. I want you all to hear the number. Why are 93% of New Year's resolutions unsuccessful? Just to be clear, that's 93%. Only 7% of people that have a health and wellness or have a New Year's resolution, a goal of better, are successful. And the reality is those odds need to be way higher. Those odds need to be way better. And we're going to show you what are the 7% doing? What's the key of the 7% that the 93% are missing? And just so you all know that 80% of that 93, it's in the first 2 months. And most of us out there have already done this before. So in the chat, if you've ever have a New Year's resolution that you were unsuccessful on, I want you to put down in the chat what it was. And so just so we have a clear understanding, we've all been there. We've all had a goal that we wanted to achieve and we didn't get there. We weren't successful. And you're going to see throughout the call tonight of the reasons why, and you may already know the reasons why, but you're going to also hear of and learn exactly what you need to do to be successful in 2026 so that you can live your best life. So the progress you take starting today is going to change your life forever. And there's a few stories. I can't wait for you to hear these stories. And the other thing I want to ask is if you're currently drinking ketones right now, I want you to put down in the chat what is the favorite benefit of ketones? What's your favorite benefit been? I want you to put that in the chat. I think this is super, super important because it will be one of the keys to things that we're going to talk about today. And remember, the three keys to be successful at a New Year's resolution is coming, and we're going to have all the validation by the doctors here in a few minutes. And I super can't wait for that. Now, each story you're going to hear tonight is going to be a very different story. They're going to be a unique story to these individuals. and it's not necessarily a straight line and easy. And I'm going to dig into the story a little bit so you can hear why it was hard, why it worked, but more importantly, what were the three keys of their success? And these stories, each one of them are going to have these three keys in it. The last thing I want to also talk about before we kick this off is I do not want to insult all of your intelligence. And what do I mean by that? What I've learned in my career is that every single person on here knows what they should do. Would you agree that you know what you should do? You know you need to do it. You need to either eat better, you need to eat less, you need to go to bed earlier, you should maybe put your cell phone away a little earlier, you need to exercise more, you need to maybe go to church more often. Like we all know what we should do. I should probably not have as many alcoholic beverages, maybe I need whatever, right? So I don't want to insult your intelligence, but at the same time, I think it's really important for us to recognize is that we live in a time today where we're so exposed to social media and news and so much information, we're almost getting confused by what is right or wrong. What is the simple right answers to what we should do? So tonight we're also going to cover that. We don't want to insult your intelligence because we believe you know what you should do, but also we want to hopefully keep it clear. And tonight is the kickoff of a series of calls that we're going to continuously do so that we can be there for you in your journey. Because we know that the first 8 weeks is the hardest stepping point to be successful. If you can get past those first 2 months, your odds of success goes up by 3, 4, 500%. So with that said and done, if you're ready for this call, I'm super excited. This is the kickoff to the anti-resolutions. This means that this is about progress. This is about you achieving your goals, creating the person you want to become, and learning how to become the best version of yourself. So if you're excited as I am for this call, I want you to put some hearts, some loves in the chat. And what we're going to do as our special guests are on, we have Dr. Andy is on, Dr. Ryan Lowry is on. We're going to be introducing the stories first so they can hear the stories. And then we're going to be diving into the success of these stories and why is it working scientifically? What is it about these three keys that are helping people be successful? So the first guest we're going to have on is Miss Kate Higdon. And I think her husband Jason is on. And Kate, I don't know, I didn't get your photo ready, but I can push it over to my computer so I can show it if you need to. And then I'm going to have Angel's going to be on, and then we're also going to have Stephanie Milky share her story. So we're super excited for all of you guys to be on here. So do we have Kate and Jason available? Are they ready? Are you guys around? Can I see you, Kate?
Yeah, we're here. Can you
Oh,
hear
there you are. Wow, I couldn't see you guys. Hey, do you have your photo or do I need to share it?
me? Yeah, I can.
That was a silly question. Silly question. Well, I love you guys' story. I know your story really well. First off, I'm going to have you introduce yourself, and then I want you to just do the highlight reel of your story. But I'm going to ask you some questions because I really want people to understand um, a transformation isn't a short. I just did this. There's so much that goes on onto this, and I want to touch on each topic of that. So please feel free to introduce yourself. But here's the rule: if you all know, Kate likes to chat a little bit, so Jason has to tell the story, not Kate. I'm just kidding. Either one of you guys can talk.
You just made him go into full on panic. Uh, so, hello everyone. My name is Kate Higdon, and this is my
I'm
husband.
Jason.
We popped our picture up on the screen. Dustin, Stephanie, can you guys see it? Give me a thumbs up.
Yes, we can. Looks great.
Perfect. So, just to kind of I'll give you my version of the story, and then I definitely want you all to hear Jason's because I know there's some fellas on this call, and I also know there's a lot of guys that are sitting in a recliner listening while their wife is watching this. So I'm excited for them to hear this too. But Jason and I really struggled with our weight the majority of our 20s and all of our 30s. We tried all kinds of things. We tried all the potion. Well, I did. He didn't try the potions
I just
and all
tried to
the
keep
things.
eating. That's all I tried to do.
But I mean, I tried all the things. I tried prescriptions. I tried everything that my friends were peddling, all kinds of things. And I might lose like 10 pounds here, 15 pounds there, but I always gained it back plus a little bit more, which then always made me feel like a failure. And put a 1 in the chat if you relate to that. Like you're working so hard, you're doing all the things, you're losing, and then it either stops or you gain it back and you think, oh my gosh, there must be something wrong with me. Why is it so easy for everybody else and it's not easy for me? I felt exhausted. I felt like, I mean, did I go to the gym during those times? Periodically, but it's really hard to go to the gym when you're so exhausted all the time. And so we just struggled. And I started this I hate to say program because it's not really a program. I met someone, I met someone who introduced me to ketones and this community. And it was so simple. It was one drink a day. And what that drink allowed me to do, how it gave me control over my appetite, how it gave me the energy to move my body, changed everything for me. And I was doing this for about 3 or 4 months. Jason wanted absolutely nothing to do with any of this. He was completely like, no, thank you. You go do your thing. That's not for me. I'll stop my share so y'all don't have to keep looking at that.
I don't want to see that anymore either. Can't believe that picture.
I know. But I was losing. Like, I think in my first 3 months, I lost 25 pounds. I was 41 years old at that point. I don't have a thyroid, so I never thought that I'd be able to lose weight. Doctors told me that that wasn't likely for me. But I started feeling great. I stopped taking naps and my jeans started to fit. I remember zipping up my boots. It was around this time of year, and my tall boots, and girls, big girls, you understand, tall boots are not our friends. You can't get them zipped. I had to buy wide leg boots. And I remember putting on regular boots and zipping them up and thinking, hallelujah, this is different. But it wasn't until January. I started in October. He didn't start till January, and it was not pretty how I got him started.
It was forced. Yeah, it was forced. Which I'm glad, I'm very happy about that. So,
I mean, would you just pour it down his throat or what? I mean, how do you force them? I don't know. How do you force somebody?
Pretty close to force it down the throat. It's basically, you're going to drink this. And I said, no. And then she got the mean mama voice. Yeah, you're going to drink this. So, yeah.
Listen, we were in San Antonio at a photography convention, and just walking from the hotel to the convention center, he was huffing and puffing, and he was sweating.
I had to pack that 270 pounds across the street.
And I was like, oh my gosh, like, you're 43, what the heck? And I'm like, that's it, you are going to drink this. Mind you, he had eaten hotel waffles, and probably a cinnamon roll, and all of that before. And I said, you're going to drink this. And I couldn't force him to change what he was eating. Like, we can't do that, ladies. Like, if you can try, but I'm just here to tell you, when you're not around, they're going to eat whatever they want. Like, you can't force anyone to do that. But I knew if I could get him drinking ketones, he would start feeling better and he would start having control over.
Well, it wasn't even that immediately. I mean, not like I lost 90 pounds that day, but what it did to me made me want to continue on, and that was awakened my brain. It turned my brain on. I was just in this fog, and it just lifted that fog. Because of that, I wanted to keep going. I wanted to know what this stuff was. Number one, I want to make sure it was legal because of the way I was feeling. But yeah, it was incredible.
That's awesome. Well, I want to just take a second because I know your story is a lot more, when people say, hey, I've lost combined of 160 pounds or something?
160 pounds combined.
In 8 years. Now, and if you've been in the chat, if you've lost weight, and I promise you, if you're watching this as a guest or maybe you're just kind of new to prove it, we're not just going to talk about weight loss here. This is about health, and weight loss is a byproduct, and fat metabolism is a byproduct of that. And the doctors are waiting to come on to talk about why this all works. I can't wait for you to hear from them. But in the chat, I want you to put down how much weight have you lost and how long you kept it off. And this is the important one. Because I know Kate's story, and I know I'm 49. I've had 5 surgeries, like major surgeries in 5 years, went through COVID, and I've been able to maintain my physique. And sometimes just not gaining weight is the win, right? Because you have life happening and just maintaining where you're at. And so, Kate, I know you've had some hormone things going on. I mean, you're transitioning. I mean, you're no longer at 41. And so, but the other thing, I know you've had some surgeries. Jason, I got to imagine you've had stress of life happening. How well is and I don't want to give away the secret of the 3 tips. I'm going to give it away after the stories, but because you've already said them. But I know that you've been consistent through this journey. You plugged into our community and got educated, and you stayed drinking ketones. How much has that helped you through this process?
Well, I mean, just just the simplicity of it, number one, has helped me tremendously because it's genuinely what it is. It's one drink a day. And you forget, even because we've been doing this for 9 years, so I forget over a period of time that how much it does help me until I just don't do it for a couple of weeks, and I'm like, I'm kind of back to the old guy. So
Yeah.
I think for me the biggest help's just been the simplicity of it. So
For me, it is the community that's been huge for me. Um, Having people that are sharing with us, that are telling their stories and inspires us. But you're right. Like, we've been through a lot. Like, I turned 50 years old this year. This is my 50-year-old year. And I've had surgeries. I've had hysterectomy. I've had to have an ovary removed. I've had all these kind of things. My body, yes, is going through a lovely transition. Thanks for reminding me, Dustin. It's fabulous. And so I'm going through this change, right? And so is he, by the way. I mean, hello, can we say menopause? Like, that is a thing. I'm sorry, that is a full on thing. We're going through shifts and changes. And what shocks people the most, because let me tell you, anyone can lose weight. Like, really, like, you can lose weight. But the fact that we've been able to sustain that, this is the first time in our entire lives, and I was overweight even as a child. This is the first time that we've been able to sustain that. Do we have fluctuations? Absolutely. Like, after my hysterectomy, I gained like 10 pounds. I had to shift some things and change things. And luckily, I have people like Dustin that I can talk to. I get on calls. I listen to Dr. Andy a lot talk about things, and I learned how to shift and change. But most of it has just been staying consistent with the simplicity of things and not overcomplicating. And let me tell y'all, like, for 9 years, like, we eat. Like, he got a whole box of peppermint bark for Christmas. He's eating the peppermint bark, right? Like, not some weird, like, strict, people that don't eat the
but
things
I
that we
have the
want to
ability
do.
to limit each when I do eat this. It's not like I ate it all in one day, like the old Jason would
Well,
do.
Jason would have ate the whole box
Oh
in
yeah.
one day, for sure.
You enjoyed the process. I appreciate that. Well, thank you so much for your stories. And I love, it's always great when people hear I lost 70 pounds, but keeping it off for 8 years, going through all those changes and now 160 combined. And y'all, there's more to Kate and Jason's story. They were also the role model for their children. That we could go another 30 minutes and just to how they decided to change their life, change their kids' lives in such a positive way, which I think is something we need to talk a lot more about because they became the best version of themselves. So thank you all. I cannot wait for our doctors to come on and explain why this all works so well. I do want to share one more story before, and then we're going to have another really special story at the end here that I want you all to plug into. So Stephanie, I'm going to move you up to this next call. So thank you, Jason. Thank you, Kate. So the next story. So Stephanie Milky is a different story. So Stephanie doesn't have this weight loss transformation. She has this, she when you meet Stephanie, she's like, I'm just a mom. She's actually an amazing mom. She's a homeschool of 4 daughters. She travels. She's a business entrepreneur. She really works hard on herself. But when I met Stephanie, she didn't know anything really about health and wellness. But she figured out like, hey, if I fuel my body properly, if I stay consistent, I plug into the right people, my life can forever change. So Stephanie, I'd love for you to share your story. First off, what age were you when you started? And then talk about how the last 10 years have changed your life.
Yeah, I love it. So, hello, my name is Stephanie, tuning in from Florida. I was 32 and I was introduced to, I would just say, a healthier, different way of eating, right? So, my husband wanted to lose weight at that time. So, our girls are currently 18, 16, 14, and 12. 10 years ago, 2, 4, 6, 8. And I just remember I wasn't looking for fat loss. I actually have a pretty fast metabolism. My whole family does, but I was exhausted. And so I remember my husband going down this route of eating keto and trying to understand that he wanted to lose 50 pounds. He handed me a packet one day and he's like, "Hey, I found something that's incredible. It's going to work." And I was like, I don't need it. And I just was tired and I wanted to get through my day. But what I found was something that gave me energy that legitimately changed my life. So, what I did was I was introduced to ketones. I had one packet of ketones. It kept me awake that day. I was a mom that needed a nap every single day. And I remember going, all right, if I have something that, first of all, gives me energy to keep up with my girls, homeschool them, my brain was clear. I felt like a super mom. And I was like, I don't know what this is. I don't even know how to eat healthy. Listen, 10 years ago, I did not go to the gym. I did not make time for myself. I would not leave my girls with anybody except for my mom. Not that I didn't trust people, but I just like, I was the mom. I cleaned the house. I did the dishes. I like did everything, right? I was exhausted. So I just didn't take time to learn even how to eat healthy. Well, you want to know what healthy was for me? Cream corn. I had never eaten anything green 10 years ago. I ate my first bite of celery at 36. I just started eating salad like a couple of years ago. I I promise you I just had somebody ask me, "Do you know what's that box that you mix hamburger helper?" They were like, "Do you know what hamburger helper was?" And I was like, "Yes, I grew up on that." Yeah, I can never, but like you guys, my food choices was macaroni and cheese, hot dogs, kid food. I started drinking ketones, and here's what changed my life. I drank ketones every day. I didn't learn a crazy diet. I didn't join a 28-day program. I didn't like dive into this, everything has to be cookie cutter perfect. I found a product that worked. I felt incredible, and it helped me. First of all, I got up every day with energy to crush my day. I felt like I was unstoppable. Secondly, it made me think clearly to go, okay, I'm going to learn how to eat better. I'm not going to be perfect. I started eating one new vegetable every week. I started teaching my kids like I was going to do it, they were going to do it. A year after consistently drinking ketones, I joined the gym. I've been going to the gym ever since. I'm stronger at 42 than I was at 32, way stronger. And what I learned is this. I plugged into our community. I drank the product consistently every day. I started reading personal development books, and I plugged into things just like this because it grew my mindset, and the education was so powerful that I just couldn't help but want more. I founded a community and a gym of people that I loved. And for 10 years, I have been consistent in drinking ketones, doing the best I can with my food, plugging into this community, plugging into my gym community, and then now I get to do it with my girls. So one of the biggest things I told Dustin was I did this for myself in the beginning, but now I do it for my family and for my kids because I have teenagers and they watch me. And I don't want them to get to 20, 25, 30, where a majority of us end up, right? And go, oh shoot, I wish I would have learned how to create healthy habits when I was younger, when I can help them now. They watch me. So they get up early, they go to the gym, we're mindful about our food, we're not weird about it. They drink ketones with me, we're mindful about our water, we move our body, but we're consistent almost every single day, and it's changed our life.
That's amazing. And I know that, in the same 10 years, most people that didn't commit to this journey, they're struggling. And you just set yourself up, and you're 42 now, you just turned 43?
In February.
In February, going to turn 43, and her body's going to start to change in different ways.
Yes.
And it's just so and I know this because this is my world I'm in, but you stack the odds in your favor to go through that process smoothly without the world coming down again on you, because it can get complicated when you're not healthy. And the fact that you're the role model for your kids is super exciting. And I want to share the contrast of that, where, Kate came into it, her health was already at obstacles, and she had to work through all that. And because she was consistent, because she stayed, her body was, her biological body was set up for success. And she stayed into a community to get educated. Her and Jason were becoming the role model for their family. So it doesn't matter where you're starting from, is you have to decide where do you want to be in the next 10 years. And it starts today. And the progress for this next year will set you up for the next 10 years. And so with that said, I want to say thank you. We do have one more story. We're going to be bringing Angel on here at the end, but I want to get to Dr. Ryan and Dr. Angela Capitelli and talk about why this works so well. And so we're going to do just a roundtable discussion, and I told them they're open to speak freely, but we're going to talk about a lot of things. We're going to talk about ketones. Why are they so helpful? We're going to talk about the three keys. I'm going to give you the three keys right now, which are consistency. You got to be consistent. Consistently show up. Your relationships, your environment. Something that each Kate and Jason and Stephanie said is they plugged in. Why? Because the world is overwhelming and confusing out there. If you're around the wrong person with the wrong mindset, you will naturally gravitate towards their thinking, And most people's thinking is not about becoming better. It's about fear-based. It's about what they're doing wrong. We're going to focus and Prove It's communities about pursuing better. We're going to educate you on all the noise out there. We're going to keep it simple for you. We're going to encourage you. We're going to challenge you. Yes, we are going to coach you. We're going to push you a little bit, which you need. At the same time, you have to know that you're in a safe place to grow. And we can look at the bright side of what you can do better today and tomorrow. So, with that said, I want you to all welcome Dr. Andrea Capitelli and Dr. Ryan Lowry because we're going to have a fun little discussion here. I'm super excited to have them on.
Hi.
Hey, welcome. Thanks for being on. Ryan, you there too?
Yes, sir. Good to see
All
you guys.
right. Well, we're going to do a round table. We're just going to have a full out open discussion, y'all. And I give you full permission. They're both just truly remarkable. I introduced you a little bit earlier, but Ryan and Dr. Andy both they spoke all around the world. They're thought leaders in human performance, health and wellness, hormones, ketones, and they're just amazing parents, unbelievable individuals, and they're always striving for their best. And we all want the same for you. So thank you guys for being on tonight. Truly appreciate it.
Honored to
Of
be here.
course.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for having us. Mhm.
So the mantra has really been, obviously ketones, relationships, and consistency are the three keys of why people are successful. But I want to take ketones first. We're going to break it down because when I say ketones, most people probably are like, well, what does that even mean? And what I like to use is biology. And Dr. Andy and I were on a call earlier. And if the biology of the body, if the human body isn't set up properly to win, what we know is that willpower doesn't last. So if we can stock biology in our favor, meaning if the human body can work as operated as it was designed to do, we are way better off. So I would like for both of you to answer this question is how do our ketones, how do they set our biology up right for us to have the energy and for us to be able to make better decisions in nutrition and health and wellness? And you can answer it your own way.
I was going to say, who wants to go first? Because I know
No,
we
you
both
go
have
first.
an
You
answer
go
to this.
first.
All right,
You're on
I'll
my
go
screen
first.
currently.
I'll go first. Okay. So I think from my perspective, one of the ways to understand how ketones help is to understand some of the things that kind of get in our way from maintaining our goals. So you already mentioned it already. You mentioned willpower. So we talk about willpower, we talk about motivation. If you're on social media right now, you see every fitness influencer talking about like the willpower, and if you just have the motivation, you can do it. And it's not about those things. I don't know if you're familiar with the term willpower fatigue. If you are stressed, you have to look at your capacity in life. The type of goal that you're setting. Are you someone who really hasn't exercised in the last 10 years and now all of a sudden you're like, I'm going to go to CrossFit every day? It's not a realistic goal, and your body probably doesn't have the capacity to do it. What's happening in your life? Are you going through stressors? Is there, a divorce or a loss or something like that? Do you have capacity to make this massive, significant change? So I always say you have to start looking at the foundation of what's happening in your life. You have to understand that willpower isn't the only thing. We have willpower fatigue. The more decisions you have to make, the harder it is to maintain willpower. Motivation is not the thing that, motivation dies pretty quickly. So you have to have systems set up, and that's what keeps you sort of on track and helps you sustain your goals. And that's where ketones can actually help with all of that. So ketones can impact how our body manages stress because when we're stressed, that's where we're seeking, the dopamine hit. We're seeking rewards. And ketones have actually been shown to kind of increase our pleasure sensation and decrease that need for the dopamine hit, especially during times of stress. So all of a sudden, we don't need to stress eat. Our limbic system's not overwhelming and taking control and saying, I must do this to get that reward. It kind of dampens the need for that dopamine or that pleasure hit, which is something that will often derail us from our goals. It helps us to sustain our willpower by helping us manage our stress. And so bringing that cortisol level down so it's not overwhelming our willpower or our systems that allow us to make decisions that help us stay on track. So, and there are so many more. Those are just two examples, but I have kind of 8 key things that I always go back to with my patients that I always want patients to kind of get sort of straight before they set a goal so that allows it to be something that they can sustain, maintain, they can meet that goal in a healthy way. And ketones really help set the foundation for allowing you to kind of stay on track. It helps you It kind of helps gives once the motivation has worn off, the ketones are what helps you stay focused. And again, it doesn't give you that quick energy hit, but it does sort of reduce the things that would normally happen if you're doing, let's say, a crash diet. So, all of a sudden you have more food cravings, your blood sugar is destabilized. So it really helps to give you that foundation to set you up for success while you make realistic, sustainable goals based on what's happening in your own life.
Awesome. Thank you for that. And Ryan, I would love to hear your thoughts on how do ketones help with our biology to get us set up for success properly.
Yeah, I mean, Dr. Andy nailed it. I agree with everything she
I knew
just
we were, I'm
said.
like, I know we're going to be thinking the
She,
same thing.
the exact same way. So I'll just add on this. Decision fatigue is a real thing. We all experience it every single day. And just think, do you make better decisions or worse decisions when you're in a low energy state? Right? Like I know many of us are parents, especially around the holidays. Even if you aren't a parent, it's like the holidays are amazing. I love every second of it, but it's also very taxing, right? Like it's like you gotta do this, you gotta do this. You're around family, you're doing all these things, and so your energy gets drained, right? Or like last night, my son, love him to death, and but he woke up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, six. So like my sleep and my fatigue is very high right now. My energy was low. So typically in those instances, you're bound to make worse decisions. That's when you wake up and you're like, I'm probably, you know what, that donut there. All right, I'll just have a bite. And that bite turns into three donuts, right? Or you're at nighttime, you're exhausted, you just came home from work and you're like, ah, and you see cookies sitting on the counter and you're like, I'll just take a bite. And then that turns into a whole bag, right? That's typically when we're in a low energy state, that's when we tend to make the worst decisions. So if we just purely think of ketones as like clean energy, providing a fuel source for our bodies to help make better decisions and put us in a high energy state, we're more likely to make better decisions and kind of damper that decision fatigue that will likely set us up for ultimately a better future. So, like I said, I 100% agree with everything Dr. Andy said, but really just think about ketones being this energy source that helps with a lot of these areas of preventing us from going down the rabbit hole of being in a low energy state and then ultimately making a worse decision.
All right. Well, I appreciate that. And that's one of the keys. It's like I've been in ketosis for the majority of my adult life, and I didn't realize how much it was doing until I watched everybody around me get old, fatter. I'm no offense, sorry, that's just what happened. And people think I'm weird because I have energy. It's the craziest thing. They're like, "What's wrong with you? You have so much energy." I'm like, what if I'm normal, right? I mean, I don't know. But anyway, ketones have been a foundation because they just helped me through it. And just so y'all know, I think I mentioned earlier, I've had 5 major surgeries through this. So it's not like it was like simple, And I mean, how many people during COVID gained all that weight because life got more stressful, right? And they couldn't handle that. And so that's what we've seen in our community. People are just managing that so much better. But because so many people are going for weight loss, I want to just take a moment and I want to talk about two things. One, Dr. Andy, you said something realistic goals. We're going to come back to that in a second because I think that's super important for us to recognize when you're going to change something, having a good start point is really important, I think, for people to recognize. But when weight loss is the goal, can we just create some clarity? I think when there's so much over noise out there, like you don't need to worry about what you're eating. You can eat whatever you want. You can just exercise more. And I think that it's important for us to realize the basic science of weight loss, maybe, and more importantly, fat metabolism. So, do you mind taking us through? Let's use an average person. Let's use a woman that is basal metabolic rates at 1,500 calories, just so we have a basic, and you can explain what that means. But if you want to lose weight, what do you have to consistently do to be successful in that? Allowing that the person is relatively healthy in the starting point. Can you please share that with everybody so they just know the basics of this?
Ryan, do you want to go first? You go first this time.
You got it. I'll follow up you. This is right up your alley.
So essentially, so the basics of how someone can sustain weight loss. So my approach to weight loss is a little bit different. I rarely count calories with a patient initially. I've never had somebody weigh their food. Um, I don't actually have people even track their food unless we're a few months in and they're not seeing any progress. Then I'll say, okay, we need to track a little bit just to get a better understanding of what is happening. And I'm watching all these comments roll in when you mentioned the food noise. And so I would say that one of the biggest things is the confusion about what to eat, how to eat, people around you saying, why are you doing this? Oh, what do you mean you're not going to eat that? Oh my goodness, just have the donut. You're at a party. What's wrong? And so there's a lot of noise of people who are almost trying to like sabotage your goals. So what I always tell to people is it's really important to understand how you want to eat. I like to focus on quality of food. And then I want people to understand that if you have a donut at a party, if you have that cake, it is not all over. And I feel like some people will have a bite of something and they think, well, I just blew it. That's it. Forget it. And then it's all out the window and they just completely throw it out. And so I feel like there's just this understanding of, first, a little bit of compassion for yourself, knowing that 100% you're going to, break the diet that you've set for yourself. Of course you are. You're making a new change. I've never met somebody who's 100% perfect all the time when they're starting a new goal. So providing a little bit of compassion for yourself and knowing that, you know what, you weren't supposed to eat that today and you did, and that's totally fine because there's still the whole rest of your day where you can make new decisions, and tomorrow's a brand new day. And so it's just kind of, I like to start first on mind frame, looking into people's relationship with food, looking at the quality of the food they're eating and what they're eating first. And then looking at things like what is the stress in your life, things like that and then like that needs to be balanced or addressed. And then we start getting a little bit more into, okay, you know what? Maybe we're going to introduce this food change and then I might start to be a bit more specific. Once we've established a bit of a habit, then I'll start to implement some other like restrictions, for lack of a better word. But once people are starting to develop a habit, because it can take up to 90 days to develop a new habit. It can take 90 days to lose an old habit and create a new one. And so we have to give ourselves grace and understand that it takes time. And during that time, it's just about creating a new relationship with food, not listening to noise around you, not letting people derail you, and just really being firm and consistent. And this is what I want to do. This is how I'm going to do it. It's okay if I didn't do that today, tomorrow's another day. So it's more changing the relationship with food, perception of food, and then slowly moving into the quote unquote diet. That's sort of my approach. So
Awesome.
I never go into calories first.
I was so happy you said that. I was so happy you said this because it's if you listen to Kate, if you listen to Stephanie, the same thing occurred. The ones that get so stuck on a number and they're lean on the number, they disregard the health component that they should be focused on. And the
Mhm.
number controls their brain. It's just like I tell this story often. I had a lady that I was working with, and I used to do Charles Poliquin's program where I literally weigh people every time they came in. I measure their body fat and I would adjust their plan. Now, I didn't let them see their numbers, but it's what I did as a coach. She saw her number. She saw the number on the scale. And I watched her do the walk of shame back to my office and her head down. It was like she was depressed. She came in happy, depressed in seconds. I was like, holy cow, she had actually lost weight. She didn't know it because she never sees the number. But for whatever reason, she didn't realize it. And I was like, we got to stop this. This is insane. The number controlled her mood, not her actions of becoming better because she had achieved so much in that short amount of time. So I appreciate you saying this. Now, Ryan, I have a question I'm going to come back to you on. But before I do that, Dr. Andy, you'd mentioned like, what would you say the three or four or maybe eight main tips? If you're going to
Mhm.
write this down right now, like, hey, if you want to focus on pursuing your best you in
Mhm.
2026, what are maybe it's non-negotiables that you would say, or maybe that you got to hit the 80% or 90% successful if you really want to stack the odds in your favor. What would you say those are?
Okay, so I have a few things. And again, my approach is a little bit different. So I don't own a scale. I don't know
Good.
how much I weigh. Don't weigh. I don't even weigh my patients. I don't. I don't have a scale in my office. I had a patient who asked me for her weight, and I was like, oh. And we had to go to the other doctor's office, and I'm like, can I borrow your scale? I don't even have one. It's a doctor's office. I don't have a scale. We have to go to the other room, or the the PA will do it in another room as well. But there is not a scale in my office. We're not here to weigh you and track your goal every 5 seconds. I remember when I was pregnant and I gained to 25 pounds in my first pregnancy, which is not a lot of weight. Like that's actually, but I remember I switched OBs after this. In my first trimester, I had gained 5 pounds and it was like, oh, you got about 13 pounds left to play with. And I was like, what? I just no, and then I never weighed myself again, switched doctors, and just moved on. Because your body will do what it needs to do. You can feel when your body is at the weight you want it, at the size you want it. And people, like you said, become obsessed with the number. So my first step is throw the scale away. You will know by how you feel, how your clothes fit. You will know if your body is changing. So stop weighing yourself. So that's the first thing. We throw away the scale. We get away from the weight and the number obsession. So that's my first step. The second step is we have to take a look at what's happening in your life and understanding what is a realistic approach for you. Are you stressed? Are you overwhelmed? I had a patient once and she was not losing a single pound. She was boxing and CrossFitting and lifting weights every day of her life. Um, and she was super stressed and overwhelmed. And I just said, you have to stop all of that. You need to literally go and do like hatha yoga and go for a walk. Just stop. You're causing so much extra stress, so much cortisol. You're contributing to your weight gain. You're causing injuries. You need to stop. And that's kind of the same approach I take when it comes to setting a goal. You just have to understand where you are. Are your goals going to cause more stress in your life, or are they going to facilitate a healthier pathway, and health in all ways, mental, emotional, relationships with your family, weight? So how are your goals going to positively impact you moving forward? It can't be that going to the gym and doing CrossFit every day is a massive stressor and you're like, oh my God, I didn't go. And now it's just one more thing on your list of stressed out things. You're never gonna do it. So it's a matter of finding sustainable goals. And then the next thing is I get away from weight loss goals. And we talk about this a lot. What's your why? Why are you doing this? Why do you want to lose weight? Um, and so that's sort of the biggest thing is, what are you doing this for? Do you want to be healthy? Do you want to be able to move well as you age? Do you want better joint support? Do you want to be able to, my grandmother, when she was 85, was crawling under the table with her great grandkids. And that was her goal. She could do a headstand when she was 80, and that was her goal. And so that was her motivation to stay healthy. So it's kind of changing what we're doing. So again, it's not about a number on a scale. So those are some of the first things that I address before we even get to how we can eat. Now let's change the framing of our food. So I have a very different approach with my patients of how we do it.
I love that. So in the chat, if you do me a favor, what are the 3 or 4 things that you want to commit to change in 2026? I was actually doing a lot of research for this call tonight, and one of the biggest ones is that when you have something that you're trying to take away or restrict yourself of, you're way less more successful than if you have something that you're moving towards. And so that's why I love like physical fitness goals or more activity goals. I want to be
Mhm.
a dancer. I did a backflip when I was 40. I did another one when I was 42. So before my 50, I have 1 year after hip replacement. I'm going to do a backflip. So I
Oh,
work
that's
towards it.
awesome.
I'm doing like heel drops right now, but I'm going to be
Yeah.
doing box jumps and I get my vertical up. But and this could be for you. You might be want to be the world bowling champion. I actually enjoy dancing. So it's like go ballroom dance. Like find things that you can work towards that perpetuate a positive thing that you're looking forward to going to do. So I appreciate that. But your grandma doing a headstand at 80 is super exciting. And so I got to go back to Dr. Ryan. You know, we both love fitness. First thing I want to kind of have you touch on a little bit of the biochemistry or the ketones in fitness, but also what's the significance of fitness being part of your goal of health? If it's anti-aging, if it's weight management, whatever that is, what's the role of fitness? How does it play a role, and why is it so positive?
Yeah, I hope I can do a headstand at 80. That's
I
that's
know,
my
right?
goal. I love that. No, I love everything Dr. Andy just said. I actually wrote down, it's like, how do you define success? I think that's something that taking away from this call, I hope everyone can literally spend some time, and you're not going to figure it out just on this call, but spend some time writing that down is how do you define success and don't make it a number. right? It's not a, oh, I want to lose 7 pounds, because that requires you to step on a scale, right? And then it, like Dr. Andy said, dig deeper. Like, why do you want to lose that weight, right? Do you want to be able to run around with your grandkids? Do you want to be able to play with your kids? I want to be able to throw my son up in the air and catch him. I want to be able to carry him around Disney. Like, these are the things that drive me. So I know I have to make fitness and health a priority in order for me to be able to do that. Right. So, like, those are some of the things that drive me, but you really need to look internally and say, what do I define success as? If I'm sitting here December 29th or December 3rd, whatever it is of 2026, what does my life look like? And what did I do to get there? I think we'll talk about that here in a little bit. But to Dustin's point on fitness, there's actually three things, and Dr. Andy and Dustin touched on many of these, but they're from a behavioral psychology standpoint. There's three things in science that drive behavior change, right? And one of them is identity reinforcement. So to Dustin's point of like, oh, I want to become a dancer, it's no, I am someone who dances, right? So if I were relating this to fitness, it is I am someone who moves daily, not I should exercise, right? Because when what you're doing is you're reinforcing the identity that you believe you are, right? Behaviors stick when you reinforce the identity of saying, I am someone who moves daily. You're reinforcing that behavior, right? The brain really protects identity more than it protects goals. So if you identify as someone, I am someone who is making fitness a priority daily versus, oh, I want to work out more, that's not going to cut it. It's I am someone who is making fitness a priority in 2026. That's what's going to drive you to have that behavior change that sticks, right? These small wins create the identity change, and identity change is what really locks that behavior in. And ketones can be the catalyst to help you get there, right? In order for you to make fitness a priority, that takes energy, right? It takes getting up off of the couch and saying, whether it's I'm going to get in my car and drive to the gym, or if it's I'm going to get up off of the couch and I'm going to do 10 air squats. Both of those things require energy. And both of those would move the needle in the positive direction, but it starts with having a catalyst to allow you to have the energy to get into that state. And I think ketones can be that catalyst for so many of us. It's we're looking for I just want to feel like I can have movement or in my life. I want to feel like I can make fitness a priority. And guess what? Oftentimes it's, oh, I need to go to the gym for 60 minutes. I promise you, you don't. Study after study shows that even if you just take 10 minutes at a high intensity rate, that can be way better than 60 minutes at a low intensity cardio state, right? So take 10 minutes in your day. We all have it. Ketones provide energy. That energy can provide you a quick 10 minutes of high intensity that will have lasting effects the rest of the day. So I would look at ketones as the catalyst to help you make fitness and movement a priority in 2026.
So really quick, thank you for that. Really quick, what could you do at home? 10 minutes. What's an example I could do to just, hey, I don't want to go to the gym. I just want to get my 10 minutes in. I'm committing to fitness. I'm committing to movement in 2026. What could I do at home? Any ideas?
Yeah. So like simply like if you the most basic is like go up and down your stairs. If you have stairs inside of your home, go up and down those for 5 minutes. You'll be gassed. But like one of my favorite things on days that I'm super busy or even days that I'm traveling and I don't have access to a gym, I do like sets of 10 push-ups, sets of 10 air squats, sets of 10 jumping jacks, and sets of 10 mountain climbers repeated for 3 to 5 rounds. I promise you, you will be like huffing and puffing, and your heart rate will get elevated enough where you're going to start to see that behavior change. And so it makes it so it's no longer an excuse of, I don't have the time. You have the time. It's let's make it a priority and just build it into a habit to make it that long-term behavior change.
Awesome. Thank you. I mean, I realize we could talk for 14 hours, y'all. So I do have a couple more really important things I want to cover with you. But before I do that, um, what's most important, it's a lot of people think the plan is the secret. And there's a million plans out there. I was just thinking while you were chatting, I'm like, it was actually a bad question for me to even say what you should suggest because you can go on YouTube right now and go in 10-minute home high intensity workout and you'll have a plan in seconds. You can look up any kind of diet out there. There's a million diets out there. You know, I heard this quote a while ago. The only good diet is the one that you're willing to follow. But there's the one thing that I want to make sure everybody's clear of. If you're on a journey, what it took Kate and Jason, where they started when they were 70 pounds and 90 pounds heavier, the plan they started is not the plan they're doing today. So as you change, your plan changes. And that's why having a plan typically leads to unsuccess because you're evolving. And if you don't have the foundation in place, the plan may not be suitable in a month or 60 days or 90 days, or more importantly, a year later. So you have to be open minded that you're creating your own lifestyle. You're starting where you're starting. You're on a journey to create a lifestyle that you can sustain. And once you have a hip replacement, your lifestyle might change again, like mine just did. It's modified slightly, and I have to evolve with those changes. So I want to come back to the three keys. So we have the biology, which we're going to touch a little bit more on, but we also have the consistency of being on a journey. Dr. Andy mentioned it can take up to 90 days to create a habit. People always say it's 28. 66 is what London, the University of London came up with is like the sweet spot. Like 66, most people are good, but it can take up to 90 days for people to truly change. So if you're not willing to commit to 90 days to doing something, then that's probably not the right thing to start with. With that, the last one was relationships and community. How important do you all believe being around the right voices, the right people is important for people to have long-term success?
Oh my goodness. I think that's one of the most important things. And the number of times I've had patients come into my office and say, well, my husband won't or my wife won't. And the very first step is you have to bring them with you to your appointment because they have to be on board. Because your success is almost tied, because you live with this person. Your success is tied to almost to their support of you, unless you're so able to just override if they're not willing to support you. So it's really essential. And we were talking about this earlier as well, that there are people who try to pull you down if you're doing something and they're not quite in a place where they're able to do it. You almost go, well, why are you doing that? Oh my goodness, just eat it. You're not going to eat. And so you get these comments every time. You're like, no, I'm good. It's okay. Just have the dessert. I'm all right. It's fine. Like I'm full, no problem. And it's almost like they need you to do it because it makes them feel better about themselves because that's what they're doing. And so you have to be prepared for that. And I'll tell people, if you have people like that in your life, it's okay to, distance yourself from them a little bit during that time or do things that don't involve food. Don't go out for lunch, go and do something else or just go and get a coffee. Like just do things that, take the food piece off the table. But I think it's really important to surround yourself with people who are invested in you. And if your goal in life is to make a positive health change, why would somebody in your life try to sort of pull you away from that? And our community is one of the most important motivators. And so if you have people who aren't supporting you and who aren't your biggest cheerleaders, you need to get some other people in your circle because our success really is quite tied to the people around us.
Awesome. Well, I get to spend time with Dr. Andy and Dr. Jake or Dr. Ryan and Dr. Jacob. And sometimes it's virtual Zooms. And when I see them pursuing their goals and dreams and seeing them become a better parent, it makes me want to do that. So that's why I love hey, listen, we have a gift I'm not a huge Zoom person or like, I really am not. I do them for calls. People know, like, just call me. I'd rather talk on the phone. But sometimes it's plugging into the Zoom. So we're going to be doing these calls weekly to bring people together to say, listen, we're going to come into our community. If your home isn't supporting you, at least we will. And Ryan, I know you've been with Prove It for quite a while now, 10 years plus years. How important has it been part of our community that helps people get through some of those hard times?
I mean, I've seen it day after day. It's one of the biggest blessings of my life, and seeing from where we were over 10 years ago to where we are today and where we're going is just incredible. And the study and science support that. We know we've all heard of like there's actually a Stanford study. It's the longest running study ever. It's 85 years. And they followed people, and the number one contributing factor to longevity is the quality of your relationships. And I think everyone on here would appreciate that fact of like how important, like Dr. Andy just mentioned, like having good quality people around you, people that not only support you, but will be there to pick you up when you need it the most. People that have your back, people that, and honestly, and this is going to be the toughest for many people going into 2026, is the people who aren't that. It is perfectly okay to love you from afar, right? Like I think it might have, I forget who the quote was from, but it's like, I want you to eat, but just not at my table, right? That's perfectly fine. It's fine. Like you don't need to wish ill will on someone, but just you need to protect your peace around your table. And it's like if someone is not conducive, or if someone is even worse, shattering your goals and your potential, you can love them from afar and wish them well, just not at your table. Otherwise, it's going to bring you down with them. So I just hope that I've seen that, and I've seen how incredible it's been for us as a company. Dustin, you and Stephanie, and a lot of people who have been here for over 10 years. It's been incredible to see how important it is to have a strong network and strong people around you, that it is a pull of like it is bringing you and elevating you to a higher level than ever before. And that's probably one of the, if not the most important thing to really be the catalyst for your success in 2026.
Well, I so appreciate you guys saying this. I actually was, I think you guys maybe both know or know of him. Dr. Brett Scher called me up one day and he goes, "Hey, I need you to come down to La Jolla, California and do a presentation for me." And he goes, "I want you to talk about your favorite thing." And he thought I was going to talk about ketones. And I'm like, he goes, "What's the secret like people need to know?" And that's what I was going to talk about. I go, ketones are crazy. You guys, if you're not drinking ketones currently, or if you're just starting, from the biology, they are the foundation for you to really set yourself up for success. Because we all have health challenges we're going through, and they're the foundation. You're going to hear our last story. It's going to talk about that again. But I go, if people are surrounding themselves with the wrong people, they just tend to fall back into the same patterns. And I know some of you all right now are maybe looking at yourself and going, my life is complicated. My work life is complicated. My personal life is complicated. And I can tell you that we've all have complications in ours too, but plug into this Prove It community, plug under the calls. I would tell people, let us be your accountability. Let us help you through consistency, but let us also be your relationship of education, understanding, compassion. And we're also going to coach and challenge you because we want you to work towards better. And it's not always easy. It does require a little effort and work that you have to make some changes to get there. And so I just want to reinforce that before we do a couple of transitions and then we're going to let everybody go. I'm running over on my call a little bit, but there's a lot of people just think it's like about the plan. I mentioned that. And I just wanted to talk for a second about GLP-1s because guess what? People, they're going out of control. I mean, if you don't know what they are, you will in a second or two. And I just read a research article. I actually have it right there. And I realize it actually talks about the GLP-1s and some of the downside side effects of it all. And Dr. Andy and I talked about this earlier. And a lot of times people, when we first started with Prove It, when they first came out and got popular, actually, people are like, well, ketones versus them. And I want to really address, I work with clinics in Utah, I work with clinics in Florida, I work with clinics in California and in Arizona that are all realizing they need ketones with their GLP-1s because of the downsides. And Dr. Andy, can you start with this? Ryan, I'm going to have you come back on. I just want you to talk about what you had mentioned earlier to me about like, if you're going to choose this path, who's the person that it's really for, that you believe it's for? And I know it's not medical advice. I just want you to, if however you can say that, I do want you to address this because it's not going away, and
Mhm.
ketones need to be part of their life either way.
Right. So this is a really great question because I mean, if you turn on any media, anything, you're hearing about you've heard about it. So and so many people are on it. All the celebrities are on it. People who, don't aren't diabetics or just want to get a little thinner are on it. Everyone's on it. So my take is I'm not against them when it's used in the right way for the right people. And so um I don't think it's the only tool. So I have a ton of patients who take them. And so when they do, I counsel them on what that means. It's not something you can take forever. And so I use it as a stepping stone to making healthy lifestyle changes if somebody chooses to engage in that. So I'm not shaming anyone who uses them. For some people, it was the thing that turned their entire life around for them. I had some patients who had struggled their whole life with food addiction, obesity. They had done everything. And they said that when they tried it, it was like magic for them. And it was the first time in their life that their life didn't revolve around food. And so for them, that worked for them. It's not the first thing I'd have asked her to do, and it wasn't the first thing I had asked her to do. We had worked together for a year already at that point. And so for her, that it worked for her in her life. And I thought, and I said, okay, well, you can't do it forever. And what you hear is accurate. When you stop, if you don't make any changes, you will 100% gain all the weight back. That is 100% true. So if you're going to do this, take this opportunity. You're breaking your food addiction because you're not obsessed with food anymore. So let's use that and start engaging in healthy food behaviors, healthy food relationships. Let's start exercise. She loved to golf. So let's get you golfing and, let's start engaging in those behaviors that you couldn't get yourself into so that when you stop, then you're able to maintain what it was that you achieved. But you have to make the positive, healthy lifestyle changes while you're on it, or else it's just like any other diet pill. You're going to take it. Yep, you're going to lose weight. They work. They work. You can see they work. You see all the celebrities, it works. But when you stop, and first of all, there are quite a few side effects. So you have to talk to your doctor and make sure that it's safe for you. But what happens when you stop? And that's the case with all of those diet pills and crash diets and things that you see. When you stop, if you didn't take the opportunity to learn healthy behaviors, to make lifestyle changes, you will be right back where you were. And the research shows that you actually gain more weight than you did before. And if anyone has ever watched like The Biggest Loser, there's actually a documentary right now on Netflix on The Biggest Loser and all of the contestants. And almost all of them have gained all the weight back and more. They couldn't sustain it. And the one thing that they say over and over again is they didn't teach me healthy lifestyle habits. They walked away from the show and they didn't know how to eat. They didn't know how to exercise. They gave them these crazy diets, these crazy exercise programs, and then they walked away and had absolutely no idea how to live a normal life and a normal healthy lifestyle. And every single one of them gained the weight back. And so if you're going to do something like that, use it as an opportunity to make those positive changes so you can sustain it and keep positive changes long term. So I don't shame anybody who's taking them. I just say, if you're going to do that, that's fine. And we're going to use that opportunity to make those healthy lifestyle changes, or you're going to be right back where you were when you stop because you can't take it forever.
Awesome. Thank you for sharing that. I'm going to go over to Dr. Ryan here, and don't get me started on The Biggest Loser. I've been wanting them to get. I mean, I can't let me
Watch the
start.
documentary.
No, but I thought it was criminal act of what they did back in the show, and I know a few of the celebrity trainers. I know a few of the contestants. We've actually worked with some contestants and got them back under control and taught them a real life,
Mhm.
but only a few. And it was, to me, it was really hard to watch that. It was a sad time.
Mhm.
So with that, I'm going to come over to Ryan. Right now, the last statistic I looked at, I think up to 50% on people on GLP-1s are losing up to 50% muscle. It's a 50-50 split. And so there's a huge muscle loss with that. And I'll even touch on that just for a second. But most of that is just because they're not getting enough protein, they're not exercise, they're not getting their caloric deficit so extreme. And I want to bring in ketones because what I have here right here, and I'll send it over to both of you. I don't think I have sent this over. It just talks about how muscle preservations and using ketones is a protective mechanism for them. Can you explain what that means? What does that mean about how it protects the metabolism and breakdown of muscle tissue?
Yeah, for sure. And honestly, like you said, it's scary. And I know we mentioned The Biggest Loser, and we could probably talk about that for hours. But the challenging part that we're going to see is the fallout of some of the downsides of these GLP-1 medications 1 year, 2 year, 3 or 4 years into some of these individuals using them when they aren't supplementing with proper nutrition, when they're not having proper protein intake, when they're not doing resistance training with these, because of exactly what Dr. Andy and Dustin mentioned is you are prone for muscle loss. And that's likely due to this severe caloric restriction that results in low protein intake. They probably don't have energy, right? Take someone who is consuming 3,000 calories and now all of a sudden they go down to 1,200. They have a lack of energy. They're not getting in enough protein. That's going to result in muscle loss. And long term, that's actually having probably more decrements than the more downsides on their health than the benefits for potentially on weight loss. And so when you look at ketones, we've actually done research in our lab and others actually at Auburn University where ketones have this protective mechanism on muscle that acts on both ends of the spectrum. On one end of the spectrum, it's triggering something called muscle protein synthesis, which is the same mechanism that protein, when you consume adequate amount of protein, it turns on this process called muscle protein synthesis to help you build muscle. Those are the building blocks that kind of help you build muscle. On the other end of the spectrum is something called muscle protein degradation or muscle protein breakdown. Ketones kind of act like a bodyguard in preventing muscle from being broken down. So to Dustin, to your point, it's like anyone and everyone who is on a GLP, in my opinion, should be on something to help mitigate that muscle loss on top of the exercise, on top of getting in adequate protein intake. Utilizing ketones as a strategic tool to kind of be like a shield to help possibly preserve some of those amino acids from being broken down would be a great tool and strategy for a lot of these individuals.
I appreciate you saying that. And I just want to be clear, I bring up the GLP-1 conversation because it's the main conversation, but this is the same thing with, people that are doing excessively low calorie diets or crash diets or just they're basically pushing everything to the extreme. And every action has an opposite equal reaction. They have this reaction that they have to address later. And the most important thing, I think, Dr. Andy, you said it, I think we talked about it, like what does success look like for you? And what are you able and willing to commit to? And if we go back to the stories of Stephanie, we go back to the story of Jason and Kate, I'm going to have Angel on in just a minute to share her story is that they started drinking ketones, they started feeling better. Their biology started aligning better. They started making choices that they could sustain because they felt like they wanted to make these choices. I think they also started recognizing they are the role model for the people they care about. I think in each of them, the ones that I heard, it was about them first. It was about them getting themselves back, and then it became about other people. And I think at some point in our lives, we have to take care of us so that we can take care of others. And that's okay too. If you're in that state where you need to take care of you so you can take care of others, take that time to do that. But nothing gets more fulfilling than being able to take care of yourself so you can throw your son up in the air at Disney World. Because Ryan, I promise when he turns 11, you're not throwing him around anymore. It all changes when they get older. You're like, okay, I'm not there. But anyway, I just want to say, you guys, I truly appreciate both of you being on. We could go so much further into every one of these topics. I am going to take a few minutes and and kind of wrap everything up so you guys can stay on if you'd like. I do want Angel Rose. I want Angel to share her story before we get off the call. But it comes down to the foundations, which are biology. Your biology has to be aligned. If you're deficient and missing a bunch of things, you're going to fall back into a bad pattern. Ketones are a foundational, I think Dr. Andy said that, they're a foundational tool. They basically provide the sustained energy for you. They help with mental clarity and focus. They help with appetite control. They help with sleep. They help with stress management. They're a biological foundational tool. Your body isn't dependent on them. It loves them. And we have the ability to drink them in a powder, have them once or twice a day to give yourself the foundation so that you can start making the choices. The choices, you can pick any plant out there. Yes, we encourage here at Prove It, eat whole foods, natural foods, prioritize protein. If you're struggling with blood sugar or insulin resistance, you're going to want to lean towards lower carb choices as often as you can. Yes, you can use intermittent fasting strategies. They're great strategies to use so you can moderate and simplify your life. But at the end of the day, it's about the consistency of the plan, because whatever you start with today, you're going to have to change later as you change. Stephanie's diet is different today than when she started. Kate's diet, different today when she started. My diet has changed over the years because I've continuously changed. And so it's really important that a diet plans never work because you're never the same person month in, out, year in, out. You change along the way. And so the second part of that is your relationships. if you're around the wrong people, and I get it, I want to be really gentle on this topic, is that, man, sometimes I'm just going to tell you, I left Minnesota for a reason. I love my friends in college. They are the most, they're like, I still see them every year. I love them. But for me to become successful in the way I wanted to become it and the way I wanted to live my life, I knew I had to change my environment. Now, I just left the state and moved to California. And so you may not be able to do that, but you can plug into our communities. My challenge to you is this: drink ketones every day, plug into the next at least 8 weeks. We're going to commit to 8 weeks with you. We want to commit all year long with Prove It. We are always doing education, inspiration. We're doing Zooms, we're doing events. Plug into us. Just if that's your accountability, is I'm going to be on the call. Whatever you do, don't miss the call. Don't miss your ketones. Consistency will come with you. And that's the last thing, is be consistent. You can start and quit working out a third of the time and you'll still work out 100 times a year. You can start and quit your diet, your eating plan, whatever it is, a third of the time. And if you just keep going, you will win by the end of the year. I promise you that. 100% of the time, you will look back in end of 2026 and your life will forever change in a way that you can't even fathom. And you're going to become the best version of yourself. So with that said, I want to have one last story because I think she embodies this transition of change. And Angel, if you can, I want you to come on mute for me, please.
That is like a lot to follow.
Oh my goodness. No, your story's amazing. I think your story ties a bow on everything that happened because listen, people have challenges. I know you like you said, you were born with hip dysplasia, like the cards were stacked against you, and at 44, you still were able to make a change. And when I heard your story, I heard consistency, I heard relationships, and I heard ketones. And if you don't mind, I'd love for you to just share your story with the world and let them hear a little bit of how you changed your life.
Sure. First, if anybody's heard anything, because I know I heard a lot of things that I could personally relate to. So if you heard anything that you relate to, just like throw it in the comments. Like, no, anybody struggles or anything like that, I would love to hear because I related to all of it. So, quick little background on me was I've struggled with my weight my whole entire life. Like Dustin said, I was born with hip dysplasia. I have autoimmune diseases. I have a lot of health issues. When I started this journey, I was over 300 pounds and I couldn't walk. I couldn't exercise. I had no energy. I was a couch mom, literally like raising my kids from the couch. I couldn't do much of anything. That's me and my husband earlier in life and me now. So we have two kids. I have a 29-year-old son, I have a 9-year-old daughter, and I have a 2-year-old grandchild. So I've tried everything. I tried Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, you name it. I did hypnosis, acupuncture. I did medical prescribed medications. I actually had a gastric bypass in 2001, over 20 years ago. And I lost the weight. I gained it back. I have some pain issues that I deal with and everything, and some medications have me gaining the weight rapidly back. If you've ever had a medication that has you gaining weight, like put it in the comments, that's me. So that was me. I started gaining the weight back rapidly, and I decided I was going to do what everybody tells you: eat less, exercise more, but I couldn't do those things. I tried every single diet to try to figure out what would work for me long term because I knew whatever I was going to have to do had to be like forever, right? And that is the one thing that I keep hearing on this call. And the one thing that the ketones gave me was diet freedom. Because I wasn't tied to a diet. I actually found it through a diet. I decided I was going to be keto. And, because I could have bacon. So I decided I was going to do keto for, and see how that went. And that's how I stumbled across this. And I didn't realize that not all ketones are the same. So I want to stress that because the reason why I tried this in the first place was because I heard patent. And so I live a very busy lifestyle. I actually run a law firm and what we do is intellectual property. And so when I heard patent, I was like, oh, wait, hold on. That means that it's a real thing. I'm not just going to be swallowing some fake pills, peeing out 20 pounds of water weight, and then like plateauing like we all do. And then, like Kate says, we gain it back with interest, worse than a bank. So I was like really grateful to stumble across this. I lost 87 pounds in the first 6 months. I lost 109 pounds in 9 months, and I have maintained 127-pound fat loss for the past 4 years now. And it was all thanks to being able to have this fit into my lifestyle, not the other way around. because y'all heard just what I do on a daily basis. I don't have time to go to the gym. I don't have time to be on a strict diet. I don't have time. And this community really did save me because my husband didn't start with me. He does drink them now. I asked him one time when he finally wanted to try them why. And he said there was something different about you this time. I'm pretty sure it was my mood because I wasn't biting his head off all the time. But he started drinking them because of that too. And I am absolutely obsessed with them.
Well, I just want to share this. I absolutely love your story and your energy because it's I could take right now I could take Angel's story and I could dive into the hard times of dealing with chronic pain and have an autoimmune condition because I can relate. It's not always easy. And you see her now and you see this glowing, high energy and like full life person. And my reason of saying that is to come back from the beginning of the call. She had willpower and desire to live better. And as a coach for many years, I would be really hard on my clients. And I would be like, that chocolate you had, like that wine you had, I would make them feel so bad about their choices. Because as a coach, you're hard on you're hard on the people because you want them to get there, right? And what I realized is that their foundation biological body was not set up for success. It was for me when I was 18, I could do anything at all seemed to work, right? Anybody know that person, no matter what they do, it always seems to work for them. That's not most of us. Ketones are that foundation. And why this was different is for three things. It gave Angel a chance to get her biological body aligned so that the choices she kept making were working better. The community was there to pick her up if she fallen. She said she plateaued at 109 for like 3 years. Well, guess what? She established a new normal, 109 pounds down, sorry. She established a new normal. And then she said, well, I'm going to go lose another 18 pounds or whatever. All right, go. Because she was in control of her life. Her life wasn't in control of her. And so I just love this because ketones gave you the biological, gave you the foundation of health. Your consistency of not giving up shows you a lot about your character. And then the last one is the relationships to be here to support you, educate you, encourage you along the way. And that's why you've done so well here. And it's why you're such a big part of our community. So I just want to say thank you for sharing your story. And thank you so
Thank
much
you
for
for
being on
having me
today,
on.
too. Thank you. Hey, all, I'm super excited about tonight's call. And we just wanted you to invite you, if you haven't had ketones yet, make sure you drink ketones every single day, at least once a day. You can have more, of course. Plug into our community. Let's get educated. We will teach some foundational things. We're going to give you some tips. What kind of protein should you have? Should you look at some carbohydrate concerns? Certain people need to watch certain things, but I can tell you this much. If you can move towards more whole natural foods as often as you can, as consistent as you can, like I said earlier, I don't want to insult your intelligence. You know what to do. If your body's biological, if you're not having the proper energy, if your body's not set up for success, typically you're going to fail quickly because your biology needs to be supporting you in this journey. And then continue and be part of the right relationship. So for the next nearable future, we're going to be doing weekly calls. Every Tuesday night, we're going to do an educational call. We're going to do a community relationship-based call. We're going to coach you a little bit. We're going to give you some strategies. So plug in every Tuesday night. Every Thursday night, we're going to be offering people to learn more about how they can participate to be part of our program so they can have the best results. And so with that said, Stephanie, I don't know if there's anything else I missed. I know we have a little bit of a discount going on right now. So if you want to take advantage of our sale, please jump on. Whoever referred you, get back to them. They'll help you get set up. They'll help you get on. Thank you, Dr. Andy. Thank you, Dr. Ryan. We always appreciate your efforts. Thank you, Kate and Jason. Thank you, Stephanie Milky and Angel. Thank you for sharing your story. Truly appreciate it. Y'all have a wonderful night.